Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Planning Commission meeting for the City of Williamsburg. Today, Wednesday, October 14, 2015. Ms. Murphy, if you call the roll, please.
Mr. Charler?
Here.
Mr. Edwards?
Here.
Mr. Klee? Mr. Farrakis?
Here.
Ms. Stafford? Ms. Macbeth?
Here.
Mr. Julian?
Here. First item on our agenda today is approval of minutes from September 16, 2015. Anyone have any additions, corrections? I move we approve the minutes of September 16, 2015 as submitted.
Second.
Ms. Murphy?
Mr. Charler?
Aye.
Mr. Edwards?
Aye.
Mr. Farrakis?
Aye.
Ms. Macbeth?
Aye.
Mr. Julian?
Aye.
Okay. Public hearings today. PCR 15-024. Repeal and reenact the floodplain section of the zoning ordinance. And these changes are required to meet the current federal floodplain standards. Reed?
It's like the cases we had last month that were required to meet recent changes made by the General Assembly to state law. These changes are necessary to meet the current requirements of the National Flood Insurance Program. The new flood insurance study and flood insurance rate map are incorporated into these regulations. We first adopted floodplain regulations in 2007. So for the city to continue its eligibility in the National Flood Insurance Program, the revised regulations must be adopted by the city by December 16th of this year. The flood insurance program enables property owners in participating communities to purchase insurance protection against losses from flooding. This insurance is designed to provide an insurance alternative disaster assistance to meet the escalating cost of repairing damage to buildings and their contents caused by flooding. If the city does not adopt the regulations, city residents will not have the opportunity to purchase flood insurance. Although staff is not aware of any buildings that are in the 100-year floodplain, approximately 36 residents in the city do have flood insurance. In August of 2014, the city held a joint open house with James City County and FEMA staff to provide the public an opportunity to review the newly drafted preliminary flood insurance maps. And that's what I've done here. We had in 2007, this was our maps. These are our current maps. There's more mapping. And what I've done in the maps that I provided to you is put together several maps so you can see where the areas are, because they're all cut up. So in this map, you see there's a floodplain zone A that doesn't have a specific flood level set. That goes adjacent to the houses in Piney Creek, and does not quite go up to Mr. Lancelotti's house, which I think his house is about right there. So that's what this map shows. This map is in the south part of town. This is 199 College Creek going up almost to Jamestown Road, so you can see the flood zone, and this is elevation 7 feet. This snakes up in the ravines around Holly Hills over here, and Port Ann, it didn't look to us like any of the existing houses are in the floodplain. It also goes up Paper Mill Creek, and down here it goes up Tutter's Creek up to close to Tutter's Pond and back of the old landfill and right adjacent to Quarter Path Crossing Shopping Center. And then on the northeast section of town, it goes in back of Brandywine and in back of Merrimack Crossing apartments. I mean, the one thing we do have for our more recent developments, say Holly Hills or Brandywine, where the development could go was limited based on Chesapeake Bay regulations. So essentially our Chesapeake Bay regulations prohibit construction in a floodplain. Some, like Port Ann, were developed and Piney Creek were approved prior to the Chesapeake Bay regulations. They have houses a little bit closer to the floodplain, but they are still appear to be outside of the floodplain. And I think that's due to our topography, where we have pretty steep topography leading down to our ravines and our water features like College Creek. But the open house that was held in August of 2014 was advertised, notices mailed to 88 property owners in the city that either had property in or near a floodplain. We mailed notices of this public hearing to that same group of people. For that open house, 4 residents from the city and representatives from Colonial Williamsburg attended. The regulations in the proposed ordinance that has gone from about 8 pages to 21 pages were drafted from the model ordinance prepared by the Department of Conservation and Recreation in the state. The draft that we prepared exceeds the minimum requirements by having an 18-inch freeboard. That's the height above the flood level for residential and non-residential structures, and it includes language that makes a repetitive loss structure also a substantially damaged structure. We're not aware of any structures that would be impacted by these requirements, and it's possible that the new regulations could reduce insurance rates. And we've also been notified that if the city doesn't participate in the flood insurance program, the city won't be eligible for any federal funds for any future natural disaster, be they flood related or not. Rod Rhodes, who's prepared the ordinance, he's at a conference and was not able to be at the meeting today, has submitted this to Department of Conservation and Recreation staff. They've reviewed the draft ordinance and noted that it meets FEMA's checklist, and according to them will be ready to sail through the approval process. FEMA will review the ordinance once it is adopted by City Council. So because these are mandatory changes required by the National Flood Insurance Program, the staff recommendation is that the Commission recommend to City Council that they be approved as detailed in the attached ordinance. And that's where we are, and this would be glad to answer any questions, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory, a lot of details in the ordinance, but that's what we need to have an acceptable ordinance.
Any questions of Reed before we open the public hearing? No? Okay. I'd like to open the public hearing for PCR 15-024. If you'd like to come address the commission, please state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing no one? Oh.
Bill Lancelotti, 110 Patrick Henry. Reed, I'm sorry I was late and I may have missed something significant that you said, but basically my question is, what is the impact to me?
Well, and I can show you these maps, it appears that your property, your house is not in the 100-year floodplain as designated on this.
I was told that a couple of years ago when we had some kind of general meeting. So there's not been a change?
No.
Okay.
So I think in your part of town, the floodplain designation is about the same as it was on the 2007 maps. So
then why did I get a notice?
we sent notices to everyone in or near one of the floodplains, just to be sure that anyone that might be interested got notice of this.
Yes, ma'am.
Orange Edition, we live in Piney Creek at 406 Beechwood Drive, and I was just wondering if that would impact us at all.
Are you on the south side of Beechwood Drive?
Well, it's
Can you
Here's-
see yourself on the map there?
almost, we're in the, over here, right in here. This would be, Piney Creek Road, and then it's Beechwood Drive, and we're on the left-hand side. We'd be the second house in 406 Beechwood.
And you're backing up to the stream?
Yes,
Well, here's the road going into Piney Creek, and here are the houses here.
yes.
So I think if you're the second house in, you appear to be well outside of what the designated floodplain is.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Close the public hearing, come back to commission. Questions, comments, motions?
I would move that we approve the repeal and reenactment of the flood plan as laid out in the memorandum, so that I can go through the process of being approved by about 4 other layers of administrative authorities, PCR 15-024.
Second that.
Ms. Murphy, call the roll.
Mr. Schaller?
Aye.
Mr. Edwards?
Aye.
Mr. Clee?
Aye.
Mr. Farrakis?
Aye.
Ms. Macbeth?
Aye.
Mr. Julian?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to our open forum. It's a chance for anyone here who'd like to address the commission about any issue that we have purview over. I'll open the forum now. Seeing no one, close the open forum. We don't have anything under our site plans and subdivisions, unfinished business, new business, none. Other, I'd like to bring something up. I currently serve as the liaison to the Architectural Review Board, and this next 4 meetings I will be unable to attend due to a conflict. And I was wondering if maybe Mr. Clee would be able to fill in for me for 4 meetings.
I think I can do that, yeah. I'll check the calendar, but yeah, I'm certainly willing.
I appreciate it. Informational items, City Council report, Planning Department monthly report, and the financial statement. Any questions or comments on those? All right, no public hearing scheduled for November 18th. A reminder, we do have a work session on Wednesday, October 21st at 4 p.m. Here in the conference room for the capital improvement program. Meeting's adjourned.